Your style is pretty minimal. So having a structured gallery wall rather than like mismatch, I think would be something that suits your style a little bit.
Yeah.
And any picture lights you have here wouldn't necessarily need to be put into wiring. There's magic light bulbs you can use on Amazon that are battery lit and remote control. So imagine 3 big picture frames, and I would do black and I would do chunky. The chunkier the frame, the more elevated it's going to look. And then the matting would be really big. So you have a smaller picture in here, and that will elevate the look.
We grew up with the phrase, home is where the heart is, but our culture has shifted and now the message is, home should be Pinterest perfect. I'm calling BS on that message. Home, it's not about the stuff, it's about the story. And whether you know it or not, your home is a reflection of you and is already saying something. So what is it that you want it to say? Hey, I'm Danny, a former first grade teacher turned home decorator. Going from a dual income to a single income so I could stay home with my babies meant budget, like ramen eating, Goodwill shopping budget. And I learned a few things along the way, like how to bring big style to your home without breaking the bank. And I'm sharing it all with you. Tips, tricks, decor, and design advice so you can learn to tell your story with your style, where you can start living free from the Pinterest perfect trap and start living a life of intention. Welcome to Fig and Farm at Home, where we design happy living and where it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful.
Well, let's dive in. You have a lovely home. I'm going to just share my screen here. And when you mentioned that you have, here, let me just get it big. The goals to have kind of farmhouse style. I really like to avoid that whole label in a box, but that is kind of what you have. You have a very good understanding of a great foundation, actually, of to work with. And what I see in your home is actually a little bit more California casual.
Oh yeah, that's us.
With farmhouse, modern farmhouse. So this is perfect. Okay, so you wanted to come up with a plan, a vision and a plan for your living room and your common area and your bed. So let me get my bearings here. I love this. This is Christmas time, I can see. Does this currently look like if I were to walk into your living room, this is what I would see?
Yeah, I took that picture like on Saturday or Friday.
You have your Christmas tree up?
We decided we're going to do Christmas all year.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I
We're
thought
open
for
to
sure.
like getting other plans, but we were like, oh, we don't want to just replace it with anything. And the kids didn't want it to go down. And my husband was like, it gives us a really like family feel. And like we're always around it. So we just keep it up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that. That is so fun. Okay, let's just walk through. We're just going to start in the living room. And I have lots of questions for you.
Sure.
But you have a really great foundation here. And you did mention that you wanted it to feel warm and cozy and welcoming. What do you think some of the barriers right now are for that space?
Just knowing what to put and where, because we have so much space. We've been here for 2 years and decided as soon as we moved in that we wouldn't rush to just fill the space.
Yeah.
So we want to be intentional about it, but we have limited time and energy together to like actually sit down and think through what that looks like.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why we're here.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And in terms of, I was looking at your Pinterest board and I saw a lot of commonalities, things that you're already using, lots of blacks, lots of kind of that more of a graphite, like a gray that kind of feels black, not as stark as like these blankets. Warm wood tones, black metals. And so a lot of the things that I saw on your Pinterest board, you're already doing, but we're missing just a little bit of that warmth and that cozy factor. So with the strong foundation that you have, I think that minimal change is needed in order to just kind of fill it out when you're ready. In your Pinterest inspiration boards, you had some like wall treatments. You had some black, some of that graphite color, and you also had some of the wooden slats. And I'm curious if you are interested in doing some of that in here, and if this is work that you guys can do if the recommendations are here.
So yes, we wanted to actually do that behind the TV. And my cousin is a contractor and he can do it. We just need to like get the plan and the measurements.
Okay.
And he's willing to do it.
Because here's what I was thinking. When I'll go through kind of every corner here. But another question before we get started is that I only see white and black in here. Are you wanting any accent colors?
Not so much, very subtle. So it's probably because we came from families that doused the house in color and things that didn't match. And we just are very much against it. It was just like, no, we're like good.
We're good.
The house needs decorations. We're like, and we will get there, but it's gonna be what we want. And we want it to be consistent. Even room to room, even Nathaniel's room, except for Angie's room, every room it's just matte black, white, and like wooden slabs.
Yeah. Awesome. And you can really like even adding some of that subtle color, like like if I think about going to Target and looking at the Studio McGee line specifically, you know, some of those earthen tones that are just very, very muted, not in the pastel way, but in the like we're bringing in just a little bit. And that could be if you're ever wanting to experiment with it. But one thing that I would recommend here is to make it like that cozy, cozy, cozy factor is to bring in some texture. Excuse me, some of the texture that you might see be on any of the throw pillows or the or the blankets, but even the wall treatment. So right here, you had on that TV wall, the wall treatments that have like the long slats going from here and, you know, the geometrical.
Yes, that's what we were thinking.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cautionary tale, I do think that is going out of style, but that would still look very lovely. And if you did that, doing it in an iron ore kind of color, that deep black charcoal could be really lovely. If you do it, I would recommend, because it is kind of that thing that's going out of style a little bit, I would recommend tacking it on the wall rather than gluing it and tacking, because if you take it down, all you have to do is paint. But one thing that caught my attention or my eye was doing some of the wooded slats, you know, and you had a picture of that on there. And that could be a really, it's, you know, it's very contemporary, of course, but that could be a really lovely way to add just a little bit of texture here and lots of warmth. Yeah. What are you thinking when I say, ooh, that's kind of going out of style?
I think part of what we have paused, like part of the reason we've paused is because we want it all to come together. Don't want to just do a wall in isolation, and and so doing that wall would also require that we paint the rest of the open space. So we have to consider that too. And the more we look at Pinterest and other ideas, the more I see my husband gravitating toward the brown, like the wooden slabs anyway. So if it's going out of style, I don't want to have like an outdated house, especially if we're gonna potentially sell it down the line, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And even if you didn't do a wooden slat here, you know, you have those coffered ceilings and you could have kind of the wood up above to allow for that warmth. And that's a really timeless look. And then you could always just paint this wall kind of that deep graphite color. One thought about here too is I see, you know, lots of toys and we want this space to be really, really livable. But one thought here could be to bring in another element of warmth. So if you did wooden slats on that wall, anchoring this with a kind of a functional black, and I'm kind of talking big. We want it to be larger than your TV, not necessarily a TV, like a TV console, because those are usually lower, but something that would act as if a TV console, more like a credenza that would run really kind of the length of the wall so that you can hide some of those toys if you wanted if you wanted to. And if you had the wooden slat, I would do black. And you could even add some warmth with like black with caning, the caning doors.
What's a credenza?
A credenza is like another word for it would be a sideboard. You usually see them in like a dining space.
Oh, got it. Okay.
They're usually long pieces of furniture that have cupboards.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
So something like behind me, only lower.
Okay.
Are you wanting storage for kiddo things?
Yeah, I still want to like have some of their stuff there. And I'd even be open to actually, I have this idea now that I'm looking at the wall, perhaps putting like, you see where the kids' bookshelf is?
Uh-huh.
Or like it's like bins and a bookshelf on top.
Yeah.
Maybe like the width of that, having that be a bookshelf all the way down, and then like kind of doing that thing next to it. It kind of looks like one of the ones I'm seeing now, one of the Pinterest is coming to mind that I put in there. Let me go to it. Hold on. And they have like a bookcase-ish looking thing. It wasn't bookcases, but they had some storage.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So like you're thinking like some built-in something like these. Yes. Like if you could imagine this right here being a unit that was extended longer, that's what I mean by a credenza.
Mhm.
Are you thinking to open shelving on both sides of the TV?
Just the right side.
So if you had something like that on the right side of your TV, you're going to have kind of an off balance to your space. And because that TV is rather large, so anchoring it with something that goes underneath it could be really good. But one thing that could be really fun, Erika, in your space. So imagine a credenza that went across here, and you can store whatever you wanted in here, big toys, little toys, whatever. But right here on this little wall, you could have like, imagine a little, not like IKEA shelf, but a thin little 11-inch maybe that has like a rail in front, almost like this little thing down here, but it's wooden. So it adds that layer, that warmth to it too. And this could be a little bit of a bookshelf area for your kids. The books it wouldn't be deep enough to sit like this. It would be more like
Across, like laying flat against the wall almost.
Aside from that, this is where I was kind of thinking, ooh, this would be really stunning to have that picture wall with those lights over it.
Oh yeah.
And that would be my first preference, honestly, is to have like, ooh, like maybe 6 big frames, big white matting, and a small picture, because that just will elevate the look of it. And if you wanted, you could have the little lighting to go over it, over each column. But your style is pretty minimal. So having a structured gallery wall rather than like mismatch, I think would be something that suits your style a little bit.
Yeah.
And any picture lights you have here wouldn't necessarily need to be put into wiring. There's magic light bulbs you can use on Amazon that are battery lit and remote control. So you could remove the wiring and have the picture lights here.
Cool. And so are you able to draw on that or like put a shape just to like illustrate it?
Yep, let's do it. So imagine 3 big picture frames, and maybe not down that low, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And I would do black, and I would do chunky. The chunkier the frame, the more elevated it's going to look. But in here, and then the matting would be really big. So you have a smaller picture in here, and that will elevate the look. And then you can have any pictures, your wedding pictures, your kiddo pictures, anything, but anything to kind of make it cohesive. If they were taken from different photo shoots or different time periods, they can all be cohesive when you have them printed in black and white. And here's what I mean by the picture light, like a little kind of like a sconce,
Yeah.
And I would do black because you're sticking with a black matte metal. That's kind of what I'm picturing here.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
And just interested in your opinion, we were considering, well, we definitely have to repaint the house because this is like the primer paint that they use when they build houses.
Okay.
So we aren't 100% on staying with just white.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, given our goals, what other colors are like timeless and kind of go with the aesthetic?
Yeah. So I can write those down and I'll send them in the notes afterwards. But accessible beige immediately comes to mind. It's a kind of a grayish, and that's really sticking in that it's not gray, it's not brown, but it definitely has the aesthetic that you're going for.
Mm.
Repose gray is very, very popular. It does have more of a gray tone to it, but that will fit your aesthetic as well.
Mhm.
One thing I really like here, especially with what I saw in your vision boards on Pinterest, I actually think I would stick with a white, and I
Okay.
would do a creamy white, not super yellow. So we want it to be a little bit warmer of a white and not a cool white. And this looks a little bit maybe cool here. Alabaster comes to mind, Swiss coffee comes to mind, and I'll put some of those recommendations for you. But the reason I would choose that is because that is definitely going to be that light, bright, airy, modern farmhouse, California casual, more than some of those gray backdrops. And then you can add, if you wanted the iron ore or the blacks to kind of anchor the space, or even the warm wood tones if you bring in some of those warm wood tones.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so the other thing I'm seeing in here, so if we added a little bit of texture, maybe a couple little throw pillows if you're interested in throw pillows.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm noticing here is that the black is really, really stark against the white, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I wonder about changing the texture of it, or even having something that is like a little softer of black, because you do have these really dark black spaces right here with the kiddo chairs. Changing this to kind of like your coffee table. It's not as deep. It kind of is a little bit muted, so it won't have that stark
Oh, I see. Yeah.
as much as these ones do.
Cool.
Okay. And all of these ideas, Erika, are very much like me nitpicking because you do have such a strong foundation. But one thing I notice here is the different length of your curtains.
I actually don't, I wanted to get like different curtains. We just got that so that people don't look in our house.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Yes. And so I love that idea. And I think do you have an IKEA nearby? The trick with curtains, especially in honestly, like shopping at Home Goods, shopping at Target, shopping anywhere you can go in store. The thing with home with that is that they usually don't have the size you need, and IKEA very much does. They have some really lovely curtains that could just be a really nice budget friendly. Like a pack of curtains can be $50 rather than a panel being $50.
Oh, I see.
And it's a way that you could add texture. They have lots of different colors. So if you wanted to bring in color, but even like what I'm picturing is like a velvet. It's kind of like a greeny gray, and that might be too much color for you, but they do have some velvet. They also have some other texture. They even have some like linen like that would really match your aesthetic. And you see the texture in the fabric rather than the pattern. And I can put down the one that I would recommend too. It's a Swedish name, like Ratvia or something like that. But you can see the texture on it.
Okay.
It's a little creamier.
And you would still recommend, I mean, let me back up. We're not opposed to color curtains, especially given that we want to add, more of like an identity to our home. I was wondering, like, it sounds like you would go darker. Is there any, like, what would you say if you were like gonna put it all together, go with this color? I probably wouldn't do green out there. I would prefer more of a grayish, but given the direction we want to go in.
Okay, here's what I would do. I would accent this wall.
Yeah.
And whether it is a slatted wood with a black console down here, and let me just draw that for you too. I would not do black. If you paint the wall color black, I would not do a black console here. I would do a warm wood tone console. If you had the warm wood tone in the background, then I would have the black console to be that pop.
Okay.
Okay, and then for the curtains, we do want them to go all the way down here. We want them the same size and the same curtain. So it should be the same one that's sitting right there.
Mhm.
I really love some of those subtle colors that are just those really earthen tone colors. Rust comes to mind, like a sage green comes to, you don't like rust?
I love rust.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
My husband might not, but that's okay.
And I would not put rust curtains here. I wouldn't do a pop of rust. We want very subtle. But if this were my home, Erica, and I was going for that California casual, I would keep the light colored curtains, like I was mentioning from IKEA, the ones that had linen. And then I would add bamboo blinds. And the bamboo blinds would be like that warmth factor that brings the warm wood. And then it will tie into the warm wood slatting that you might have going on the other wall, or the warm wood console that you have going on the other wall.
Got it. So bamboo blinds and then covered by the curtains. And so that when they open, that's what you see.
Right. And actually, I would use the curtains just as a layering thing and the bamboo blinds as the light filtration. And you can buy them with like the blackout, but it will add an extra layer of warmth and depth and cozy to your space. Here could be a really great space to have a large piece of art. It doesn't need to be super fancy, but it could be something that kind of brings in a little bit of the color that you're bringing, like the rest, just a little bit. It could be, canvas, it could be framed, it could be, but I wouldn't have it be another gallery wall, because the recommendation would be to have the gallery wall on the other side.
Sure.
Okay, any questions about this space?
No, we do, like I said, we're open to moving our tree. So we got a 6-foot plant. I don't know where I'm gonna put it yet, but it could be one for our room, it could be something for there. Let me show you.
Oh yeah, a fiddle leaf fig. Cute. And do you have a basket for it to go into? Or it's just right now in the little...
It's still in the box. So
Oh,
you can get a basket.
you need to put your your fiddle leaf fig together. Yeah, okay, getting a basket, like a rattan basket that is pretty tall. We want it to be something that is at least double the size of the planter. But a rattan basket could be a really lovely way to bring in another layer of warmth into your space.
Oh, like this.
Yeah, like something like this is an example of a rattan basket, but we would want it to be taller, like something like this.
Is it, I guess I'm not seeing it because it's not like there in front of me, with everything else. So beige though, it sounds like, or like a cream, like woody color.
I would do a woody color because we want to add some of that warmth to your space. You could also do, if you like the look of the cement planter, you could also do something like that. But having it sit in something, whether you choose cement or whether you choose a warm rattan, is going to make it fit that aesthetic. Either one will be fine. One thing too, let's say you move your tree, right here could be a really lovely spot to put like an arc lamp or even a tall floor lamp. And we would maybe want the floor lamp to have a little bit of structure to it, a little bit of weight to it. That could be another opportunity, because you have black everywhere. This could be another opportunity to either bring in some more black, like the black iron, or it could be an opportunity to bring in some warm wood. And anytime you bring in that warm wood tone, it's going to just create that level of cozy. Let's say you bring in the bamboo blinds here. You would want to then have some sort of warmth repeated about 3 times. So you could have the warm wood here on the bamboo. You could have the warm wood in the rattan basket for your plant. And then you could have the warm wood console.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Yeah. And then it gives it like that consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The other thing I notice, and this is just me being really nitpicky.
I'm nitpicky too.
You are? Okay. Is the size of your rug.
Okay.
And the size of your rug is a little bit small for your space.
Okay.
So ideally, what we would have is we would have the rug be about that big.
Okay.
So
That's an easy.
Yeah. And you can, I mean, you can even actually layer it too. Like you could get have you heard of the word sizzle
No.
or jute? Those are pretty typical in a farmhouse look or the California coastal look. They're it's like rattan only woven. It doesn't necessarily feel great on your own feet. So you could you could keep this and layer it, or you could just go for a larger, really cozy something just, about this color. But what we have here is we do have the light sitting on the light. So if there is any opportunity for contrast, that could be a really good thing. This is what I mean by like that. It's called sizzle or jute. And just by being the very nature of it, it's very textured as it is, but you could add it underneath that really cozy rug that you currently have if you wanted to. Some they're more cozy than others, but it adds a warmth. It could add a warmth to your space and that contrast from the white to white.
What about a darker colored rug?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would tend to do something with a pattern, something that has like okay, now this is going to sound contradictory to what I just said, but having a lighter foundation in the back, in the rug, like a cream foundation, so that it marries the couch, but then it has the pattern sitting on top of it. And the pattern will be the contrasting piece to the couch.
Okay, and we are going to stop right there. I loved my conversation with Erika because it was very much back and forth, but it wasn't just back and forth in the conversation. We were, if you could tell throughout, using our screens in order to search product so that she could visualize it herself. I was using her pictures and you could hear me draw so that she could see the visualization of what I had in my brain in her space. The idea of the frames and the picture lights there, once she could see it, it was kind of an aha moment. But one of the things I love so much about a Decorating SOS call is the opportunity to just piggyback off of each other's ideas. We know what the end goal is, and we might not have the definition for it, but we have an idea of it. And it's my job and my privilege to be able to see the inspiration photos laid out in front of me and help make sense of it. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together and seeing, I know what that box, the picture of the box looks like, right? I know where I want to go, but now what do you do in order to piece it together? And when you have a friend, when you have a partner helping you piece it together, it goes quicker, right? The ideas are not stuck in decision-making fatigue, and the ideas and the progress are not stuck in the I'm not sure about the colors, or the ideas and the progress are not stuck in the oh shoot, I went down the wrong path here. That back and forth is so important in order to add clarity so that we can bridge the gap from the place you are now to the vision you see. And if the vision you see is just a feeling, that's okay too. We put pictures and words and thought and action into that feeling word so that we can match it to the aesthetic that eventually comes out in these conversations. So friend, let me ask you a question. Where are you in this journey of, you know the direction you want? You have your puzzle box picture ready to go. Whether it is a feeling that you want your home to feel like, or it is a picture of, oh wow, this would be my ideal situation, but I don't know how to get there. I am at the very beginning of my puzzle, to use that illustration. If you're wanting help, I kind of see it two different ways. One is you can absolutely do it on your own. You can look at Instagram, Pinterest, you can read blogs, you can look at tutorials on YouTube, and you can try to find the pieces and navigate your way from where you are today to that end goal. And that can be a very, really fun process to sort through the things that you need in order to reach your end goal. But if you're feeling like that path has not worked for you, if that has been too laborious or too frustrating or just too long because you have to sort through weeds and mountains of information in order to really make a decision on what the next step is, and you want to do it with a little bit of support and a little bit of guidance and a whole lot of encouragement, then a Decorating SOS call might be a good choice for you. Together, we explore what is working in your home, what isn't working, where you want to go, and we really nail down your aesthetic so that we can create the action plan that is perfect and specific to you. And one thing I always like to remind my clients is it is not my home that we are doing. It is not me coming in with my ideas. It's me trying to really understand where the direction is you're wanting to go, dive into your aesthetic and how we can pull it together so that it ends up looking cohesive and feeling cozy so that you can delight in your space. All right, friend, you can book that Decorating SOS call by going to figandfarmathome.com/decorating-SOS. And it would be my absolute joy to work with you to reach that plan, that goal that you have in mind for your home. All right, until next time, I'll see you soon. Hey, real quick before you go, if you learned something new or found value in today's podcast, would you head over to iTunes to Fig and Farm at Home and leave a review and subscribe to the show? That would be awesome. And if you'd like to connect with my community of mamas who are learning to be intentional storytellers within their own homes, join us at bit.ly/design101 group. There's always more room at the table. See you soon.